There's been all sorts of support which has come in for the government and the armed forces, given the tensions between India and Pakistan and what we've seen over the last few days. Indian industry has been watching very closely, somewhat apprehensively as well. But remember, India's economic muscle certainly enables us to carry on in engaging hostilities like this, which are expensive at one level, test our industrial base at another. Joining us now, a wonderful panel of guests: Baba Kalyani, Chairman and Managing Director of Bharat Forge; R. Mukundam, Vice President of the CII and Managing Director and CEO of Tata Chemicals. We're also joined by Ms. Suchitra Ella. Thank you very much for being with us, ma'am. And Rajiv Memani, President Designate of the Confederation of Indian Industry. Mr. Memani, let me come to you first. Is there a larger message that Indian industry and CII has for the government at a time like this?
No, thanks. I would say the first message is, I think that the industry is really proud of what our defense forces and what the government has done. And I think we are grateful to them. I think they've held the country in very high esteem, in very high confidence. I think the way the whole setup was managed, whether it was the way our defense forces operated, the usage of technology, the way they were all coordinated right across, the usage of the amount of domestic procurement that India has done in defense, and the precision, the effectiveness, the strategic way, and the maturity in which it was handled was really the strength of Indian defense. Really, came out very, very strongly, and for that, I think every citizen of the country and industry is most grateful to them. I would say that's the most important message that would give. And I would say that from an industry standpoint, obviously growth and everything else is important, but resilience is also very important. And this is a very important element of resilience. When a country can stand up for the right cause and effectively defend ourselves. And finally, I would want to say is the communication exercise also, which the government carried out. The very matured, very balanced, very to the point, and very professionally done. And each element, who was participating, who was not participating, how anything that was said incorrectly was debunked with facts. I think that shows the maturity of the country, and that enhances the trust that citizens have in the government and our defense forces.
Mr. Kalyani, Make in India weapon systems had a big role in the defense of our country this time around. Bharat Forge does incredible work in that regard. But I think to actually, to prove many of these technologies and many of these systems is a fillip for Indian defense industry. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. The very fact that the name Operation Sindoor, strategic initiative for neutralizing destructive opponents with overwhelming retaliation. It's a good name. And, you have to congratulate our government, our Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Defense Minister, the Armed Forces Services, the DRDO, our scientists, who have worked very hard for the last 10, 15 odd years to create a completely new industrial base for defense industry. And for the first time, I think we have faced a non-kinetic operation. This has largely been an operation which was technology-enabled, technology-intensive, using all the resources, technology resources that India has built, including the satellites from ISRO, all the navigational aids that we have, and combine them together into a let's say, integrated command. And it was beautifully executed. Unbelievable.
Okay. Ms. Ella, there is, of course, the flip side of the entire argument that the last thing that industry wants is war. As an industry leader yourself, were you wary of this becoming larger, which would have serious economic impacts? It could even hit our GDP growth rate.
Hi, Vishnu. Good evening. On this panel right here, we have two companies that are named as Bharat. Bharat Forge is one, Baba Kalyani ji is here, and the other one, of course, is Bharat Biotech. I don't think we had any, as industry, of course, and personally too. Yes, no country wants to have a war-like situation or aggression made on it. But I think from day one onwards, we did not really attribute a lot of we got alert. Our systems had to be alerted. We were concerned for our employees in across the country, especially for those of us who have operations across the country. We were alerted. We were very cautious. We took all precautions that we need to as an industry, but nevertheless, we were extremely confident that the government of India, the way it has handled it from the day one, from the attack in Pahalgam, and followed by the actions that were taken in destroying the terror bases in our neighboring country, it has shown extreme resilience and confidence, and it has won the support of every citizen of India. An industry is a part of this, and for us in CII, um, the nation comes first. The nation's security comes first, and the citizens' security comes first. Of course, stability is important. Economic, all aspects of the economy have to be kept in mind. But certainly, the way we have conducted ourselves, we have handled this assault on us, on our fellow Indian citizens,
Yes.
unarmed. It was so touching and moving for each and every one of us, irrespective of which part of the country we came from. I think this is a tremendous show of how we as a country have stood up, shown that we are strong. We have the we had, as earlier both of them have mentioned, the resilience that we showed as a country, whether it is industry or the citizens, the common man, the confidence that we had in the
Sure.
government, the defense systems. We were extremely confident of continuing, of being a part of this. We all
Right.
wanted to be a part of this. Thank you.
Mr. Mukundan, last question to you. War and insecurity in the subcontinent results in investor confidence potentially being impacted. It can have an impact on our markets as well. Over the course of the last several weeks after the terror attack in Pahalgam, were you wary of what might take place from an economic standpoint?
So thank you, Vishnu, for inviting me to be part of the panel. Let me step back a bit. I think we need to move back a bit because, when the terrible tragedy took place in Pahalgam, we had a CII conference, a CII meeting in Bangalore, and there was almost a spontaneous, sort of move from all the people. We stood in a moment of silence because it was a great tragedy. And I want to say that following that, we had a distributor conference in Delhi, in Surajkund, and it was almost spontaneous. So the outpouring of grief and the outpouring of shock at what had happened was felt by everybody in the country. And really, the resolve was very strong. And I think our effort was to stop this horrible, horrendous attack on hapless and harmless citizens, because from across the border through the terrorist camps and other elements. And I think that was our effort. Our effort has been an effort to move in peace, to secure peace for the nation. And I think the way we've achieved it, I think the way Mr. Baba Kalyani explained already, that it was done with precision, it was done with absolute calm, absolute coordination, and with no commotion, no sort of beating the chest, but just going about the job to get it done in a very professional manner. Mm-hmm. And I think to that extent, I want to compliment the government for the process they put in and the kind of communication they carried out. In terms of the effort itself, I think if we don't have lasting peace, if we have momentary bursts of instability in the country, that is going to cause even worse harm. And if this leads to securing peace for the long term, I can tell you that the 4 days of unease which people would have felt, I think were well worth it. I'm today sitting in my plant, which is 80 kilometers from Karachi, in westernmost tip of India. And I was on the first flight to this part when Air India said it is the first, the airway has actually opened just today. And I'm with my team, and they have gone through this, but they went about producing the product. They went about supplying to various parts of India. The railway services didn't stop. So you must talk about the word resilience. I think all through this effort, the industry worked hard. In fact, they were running the plant with torchlights in their hand, which we never do.
Because you
It's
had a
chemical
blackout,
plant.
yeah.
Blackout. And I think that this goes to show how quickly our people are able to cope with crisis, how quickly we're able to sort of overcome them. And I think this will go a long way in building not just our resilience, but also attracting people, because right through
Sure.
this period, none of the business stopped. Our GCC centers were running on schedule. Our software centers were delivering to customers. None of the delivery centers ever defaulted on any item. So actually what we have shown is just because there is skirmish at the border doesn't mean the nation stopped. It actually carries on its
No,
work.
that's an
And-
important point. It has to be work as usual, and certainly on this occasion it did, despite the difficulties. Thank you all very much for joining us and sharing your thoughts on the role of industry at a time which is critical for all of us. And let's hope things get better in the days ahead. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.